Yes, so yesterday we are at the Supreme Court, and I mentioned earlier, the court are sitting, the Supreme Court was not left out yesterday. One interesting case that came before the Supreme Court has to do with Oliver Barker-Vormawor, for those who remember. He's still at the High Court in relation to 2 counts treason felony. For those who remember, sometime in February 2022, he was arrested at the airport, and it became a whole lot of issues in the country and all that. He went to the Supreme Court, challenged the particulars of offense. The Supreme Court asked the Attorney General's Department, the AG, to amend the particulars because it looks like you can find element of treason felony, element of high treason in there. What exactly is the charge against him? Treason felony. So it had to resonate that. They came back, amended it, and the case is before Justice Mary Mami Ikwe-Yenzu. Then in the course of the hearing, the trial has not started yet. The trial has not started yet because they are still dealing with some aside interlocutory matters and all that. So at one point in time, the lawyers went to the Supreme Court to put the trial on hold because they need some clarity on 2 issues in relation to statute. One is the constitutional matter, and then other has to do with what the criminal section 183 said about or say about the trial of that nature. One is saying that in situations of this nature, a judge and a jury will try him at one point in time. It is saying that 3 justices will deal with the matter. So they want clarity on that. The High Court said, no, there's nothing to clarify, there's nothing to refer to the Supreme Court, and this decision was taken May 27, 2024. So the lawyers went to the Supreme Court with a certiorari. Yesterday, a 5-member panel of the Supreme Court held that Justice Mary Yenzu was right to take that decision and say that we are not referring that particular, I am not referring that particular request to the Supreme Court for interpretation because there's nothing to interpret. And they went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, look, the judge was right. But yesterday I caught up with Oliver Barker-Vormawor a moment after the Supreme Court said that the High Court was right, and let's hear what he has to say in reaction to that.
I think that one of the biggest challenges we've continuously had in this line of cases, particularly that involve me, is that we are constantly seeing how a great deal of artificial reasoning and sophistry is applied anytime a matter involving me comes up. Not too long ago, the Supreme Court held that the Speaker of Parliament, who was under no constitutional obligation to refer a matter that comes before it to the Supreme Court, decided that when an issue arises before Parliament, which involves rival interpretations of the Supreme Court, before Parliament, the matter should be referred to the Supreme Court. In our case, we have challenged the constitutionality of the charges that are pending before me. A High Court refused, even though it is an unconstitutional obligation, to refer that issue to the Supreme Court. So we have come before the Supreme Court asking that decision be quashed and they take up the matter, consistent with the way in which it has disposed itself in all cases involving the NDC. Well, today the Supreme Court has decided to reverse its own reasoning on this previous matters and decided that the High Court was right, that even though it has no jurisdiction to interpret the Constitution, to have interpreted the Constitution and refused to refer the matter. I think the only redeeming factor in this matter is that today Justice Kulendi has dissented, and that we are waiting to see what the dissent is. We saw in the same NDC matter that the dissent, at the end of the day, was more powerful than the decision of the majority, and that in normal times, when a court has been set back of the normal operation of its reasoning, and I refuse to say impartiality, that maybe the correct way of the law would prevail once and for all. But I think the bigger question, the rule of law in this country, is the way in which the Supreme continues to flip-flop. Whether it is based on dislike of individuals, whether it is for partisan reasons, nobody knows at this point. So that today you can come in the Supreme Court in the morning and get a different reasoning if you are in the matter with different parties. And in the afternoon you can appear before the Supreme Court and be given a completely opposite reason. This is the challenge to the rule of law in this country. Now, well, the people of Ghana have spoken that they want a new dispensation in this country. Hopefully, as we have said, that even though the people of Ghana have given to the NDC the landslide victory, that landslide will be meaningless unless the judiciary is sanitized. Today we have seen an example of it again. And it's my prayer and hope that this judiciary is cleaned up, else this republic is not going anywhere.
Okay, so that is the Oliver Barker-Vormawor yesterday after the Supreme Court, in a 4-1 majority decision, says that, look, the High Court was right not to refer that particular case to the Supreme Court for interpretation because it has already been dealt with. There's no rival meaning between whatever provisions were at the High Court, and therefore, and quite interestingly, Justice GHOne Kolendi dissented, and his reasons being told that it will be ready on Monday. So you heard clearly what Oliver is saying, that we want to hear the reasons of Justice GHOne Kolendi, Emmanuel GHOne Kolendi. They will know what his arguments were, what reasons were in relation to that particular case matter at the Supreme Court. So what it is now is that you have to come back to the High Court before Justice Mary Mami Ikwe-Yenzu for the trial to commence. At the last court sitting, the court was dealing with another side of a motion that the AG intends to oppose to that, and subsequently we'll bring you up to date on this very case. And of course, one other case that also took place at the Supreme Court yesterday, for those who remember, sometime in July 25, the 17, I beg your pardon, the Supreme Court took a decision, and that decision has to do with the editor-in-chief of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, Ken GHOne. He went to the Supreme Court and is challenging the constitutionality of the OSP. Said that we have the Attorney General's office there doing all the work that it has to do, but we still have an office like the OSP. He thinks that if you look at the Constitution and other provisions, that should be unconstitutional. So he went to the Supreme Court 9 months after filing the writ. In fact, interestingly, he didn't accompany it with the statement of case. He went to the Supreme Court to withdraw his own action. And the Supreme Court struck it out, then added a caveat and said that the Supreme Court strikes out that particular writ without liberty to reapply, meaning that he cannot go to the court again with that particular writ. And Ken GHOne was not satisfied with that. So yesterday, he came to the Supreme Court for a review. 9-member panel, presided over by the Chief Justice, said, look, we have listened to whatever you have to say, and we are of the considered view that no exceptional circumstances have been raised, for which reason the court will have to open that particular floodgate for you to reapply that particular case. So it was dismissed in the 9-0 yesterday, and Ken GHOne says that that's considered an infringement of his fundamental rights. Let's listen to him. I've come to the Supreme Court yet again, and a panel of 9 is effectively refusing your case that you have put before the court for a review. What exactly were you seeking from the court?
Well, my points were two. That every institution in this country, any institution that comes under a law passed by Parliament is susceptible to judicial process. I'm saying that on the 17th of July, our Supreme Court said that I cannot reapply in a case concerning the Office of Special Prosecutor. I'm saying that if the Supreme Court says that it is unconstitutional, so my business here this morning was to say that the Office of Special Prosecutor is susceptible to judicial process. The second leg of that argument is that if they refuse me an application, the right to sue the Office of Special Prosecutor, then they are abusing my fundamental human rights as a Ghanaian. And I came under Article 2.1 and I came under Article 17. That like all Ghanaians, the equality principle, every Ghanaian must be treated equally. So if every Ghanaian is able to access the court, then I too must be able to access the court. Unfortunately, their lordships disagreed. They've said that they will give out a ruling, I think by 28th of December this year. When they give out the ruling, I'll come for a copy. Then I will react appropriately. But this matter will not be left lying down.
So that is Ken GHOne yesterday, moments after the Supreme Court said, you haven't established any exceptional circumstances for which reason the Apex Court will have to review its own decision. The decision is that your case is struck out without liberty to reapply. That the OSP's representative indicate that. Let's hear Ken respond to that. You admit that you filed your writ without statement of case. 9 months later, you withdrew that, and that clearly amounts to abuse of office, which you disagree.
Every lawyer in that room must have been laughing sick because it happens all the time. Writs are filed. People fail to file statement of claim. They fail to file the necessary affidavit. They fail to file the necessary statements of case or statement of claim or whatever. But then they come back, they withdraw because lawyers. It's a matter of trade practice. So for the Supreme Court to say that you filed a writ and that you failed to attach a statement of case and that therefore means abuse, it's a very strange development. But as I said, I want to wait to see them put those words in a written form, and then I'll take whatever action is necessary to make sure this matter is not over.
What exactly were you seeking the OSP for?
What I'm seeking from the OSP is that law should be made constitutionally amenable.
Which law?
The Office of Special Prosecutor Act 959 should be made constitutionally amenable. If you listen, you were in there, you heard the representative from the Office of Special Prosecutor introduce herself as Assistant Special Prosecutor or whatever, or Deputy Prosecutor. I'm saying that in Ghana,
she said she's a principal prosecutor.
In Ghana, prosecutorial powers flow only from the Attorney General, and it is not a power of Parliament to take that prosecutorial power and give it to another body. If you want to take that power and advocate it, you must amend the 1990 Constitution, which has not been done. So that is why I'm in court. The law must be made conformable to the 1990 Constitution. So that is all that was important.
Thank you. So that is Ken Kranchi. Yesterday, the Supreme Court said, look, there's no exceptional circumstances for which reason the Supreme Court said will have to review its earlier decision. The initial decision was a 7-member panel, and it was this. In fact, he withdrew it, so it was struck out without liberty to reapply. You know, most often than not, when lawyers go to court with certain cases, once you withdraw, you have the liberty to go back again. But the court looked at the circumstances. He himself admitted that when he issued the writ, 9 months later, he hadn't filed a statement of case. And the court said, you haven't filed your statement, you just come to the Supreme Court. And that clearly is an abuse of office. So we are striking it out, but you don't have the liberty to come back to us. And he thinks that that infringes on his fundamental human right. But yesterday, the review panel of 9 said that it is what it is. That particular decision that they took will still stand. But of course, guess what is happening, Sewa? The GBA is talking.
Yes. When you say the GBA is talking, yes, are you subscribing to the school of thought that the GBA has suddenly found its voice?
Absolutely not.
You think? Okay,
absolutely
not.
Absolutely
Okay.
Not. So
do you think that they lost their voice at all?
It was one of the things that came out in the previous administration that the GBA has always been silent on national issues, things that you expect that they should come out. But remember when Bola Host had the former president, Champon Boafo on said, he explained the processes that the GBA will have to go through. When issues come, you need to be as fast as you have to be before you come out. So they discuss all those things before eventually they come. So it is not that they have been quiet. In fact, when I saw this statement and I was reading one, I was like, hey, the GBA has found its voice. I'm sure that that is not the situation this time around. So the GBA,
there's a new leadership of the GBA as well.
Mrs. Efuagate's leadership has taken effect ever since the new administration was sworn in. And they have a statement out there about the 2024 presidential and election petition, the outcome and all that. And in fact, they are congratulating all the parties.
You mean the results of the election?
Election, yes.
Right.
Did I mention petition?
Yes. It happens. It's fine.
So the outcome of the election, and first they congratulate Ghanaians and all the electorates who queued to vote, the Electoral Commission, the government, the NPP, the NDC, and then the president-elect, John Dramani Mahama, and all that. And they have been commenting on some of the issues that are coming out, that have risen ever since the elections were held. And let me just walk you through some of the few things that they said. The GBA also expresses heartfelt congratulations to the president-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, on his victory. Indeed, the good people of Ghana have overwhelmingly spoken in his favor. The GBA is hopeful that the president-elect will continue to champion the growth of the democratic tenets the people of Ghana so cherish. And then went on to say, The GBA unreservedly condemns report of pockets of violent attack, including gunshots, which resulted in the unwarranted death of some persons, and extend its condolences to the bereaved family in relation to that. And so this is what the GBA is also urging. So the GBA urged all Ghanaians to maintain and guard jealously the unity, tolerance, and peaceful coexistence that have been the hallmark of all the good people of Ghana, even as we express our differing views and opinions. The GBA makes a passionate appeal for an immediate end to all forms of lawlessness, including allegations of the destruction of properties and attempt at taking over offices. Then it went on to concluded by saying that the GBA will call upon the security and law enforcement agencies to handle with dispatch all cases of infringement brought to their attention. May Ghana continue to be the bastion of democracy within Africa and beyond. And may our nation become great and stronger. And this is signed by Mrs. Ifua Gati, the national president of the Ghana Bar Association, and Kweku Jehu-Bafo, the national secretary. So the GBA is also congratulating the parties involved, especially the president-elect, and urging on Ghanaians to do, especially those who are on the field perpetrating unlawful acts, to desist from that, and also asking on the security agencies to act or play their roles as expected. So the GBA has also spoken in relation to this one. So these are some of the things that took place yesterday. And
right.
In effect, today.
Yeah. Anyway, you know, I think that we need to be guided as a people. Yeah. And I don't know what the law enforcement agencies are waiting for. I know that so far they've arrested over 100 people.
Yes. The last update was 107.
Right,
according to the police.
107. Yes. Please, arrest everybody who is causing problems. Arrest all of them, because the president-elect has spoken.
Yes,
the vice president, who is the flag bearer of the NPP, has spoken. The police has spoken.
The party executives
have also spoken. Yeah. The general secretary of the NDC has spoken. If you still think that you want to take our democracy, we just had a beautiful election. We have been commended by many observer groups as conducting ourselves so peacefully in this election. And some of you want to destroy those gains.
Yeah, that is the sad part.
It shouldn't be allowed to happen. Arrest everybody who is causing chaos.
That's the sad part of it, because the law is it doesn't respect anybody. Once you commit an act, it doesn't matter where you belong to. You may have gone through certain situations in the previous administration, but this is not the time to be acting this way and all that. We want peace in the country.
We need to condemn it, yes, because in 2016, the same thing happened. Remember, in 2016, when the NPP won power, they did the same thing. In fact, some people will argue that they did worse.
Yes, so that is why this one should not be justified, and that is the most, in fact, the whole thing is looking so bad, because they think that they faced it in some point in time, and so we also need to do that. Equalization is not good, and we need to shy away from that. And I'm happy all the leadership, all the leaders in both facets are making calls that let's maintain peace, let's peace and order be the order of the day. And of course, like you heard the GBA also come out to say clearly that the law enforcement agencies will have to act. And interestingly, so while you see some of the things and then you realize that the officers are watching. People are destroying things, the officers are watching at that particular point in time. Well, there may be means to calm down situation when situations like that come. But of course, when one or two arrests are being made immediately, I think it deters others from continuing to act more worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that the law enforcement agencies will have to act sometime right immediately. When somebody is doing unlawful acts, just pick up the person and the law works.
I think that so far, I mean, 107 arrests, not bad. For anybody who wants to, cause violence, arrest them. And like you said, equalization is not good, should not be allowed. Not. We condemn it,
it's only in
as we condemned it in
yes.
2016. And we should not even allow this to happen, because if we continue the next time the NPP comes to power, we're going to see the same thing happening.
And maybe the worst.
Exactly.
Yes,
Speaking of which, but I mean, I like the fact that the party executives have condemned it. The president-elect has called the people to order. And you know what happens? In times like this, and I was saying it earlier, you would think that it's alleged MDC supporters who are causing the chaos. But you find thugs and real criminals getting involved in it. And then at the end of the day, it will be blamed solely on NDC supporters, when probably it may just be a handful of them. And you have real criminals infiltrating them and causing these problems.
You can't discount it because it does happen. People can plant people in there. We have seen demonstrations in the country and people have vandalized stuff, and some way, somehow, we realize that those who were even causing those unlawful acts are not members of those who are even demonstrating. So it happens all the time. And that is where I think that the security agencies must be on their toes. Anybody who acts unlawfully should be dealt with. And 107 is a manifestation of what is happening. But I think looking at what is happening in the country and all that, it should be more than that.
You know, but there's an argument as well that I've heard other security analysts make, that these people that are being arrested, we need to see to their prosecution. Because one of those things serve as deterrents.
For others.
If we don't see them being prosecuted and they are under the perception that if power changes hands, because as it stands, the NPP is still in power. Akufo-Addo is still the president.
To anything at all.
By 7th January, which is less than a month away, there will be a new president, right? And then there will be a lot of changes when it comes to leadership of state institutions. Maybe they'll be let go. Once we don't see the prosecution of some of these people, people then are empowered to continue to do them.
I think that is the mindset that the new president will have to diffuse, because if we are getting the sense that once there's a change of government and your party members or the party people are perpetrating an illegality, and because they supported the party one way or the other, you have to let them go, then that is a risk, or it's a danger. That's the red flag for us as a country. And I've seen a lot, ever since the case, the elections, I've seen certain cases at the court which have been listed and say that the Attorney General is going to file a nolle prosequi to discontinue all those cases immediately. President Mahama takes office. And I'm asking myself, really? Is that what? Of course, it's not coming from official source. It's coming from people who are projecting, or people who are making cases on all of that sort. But I think that when people have been arrested for certain offenses, they have to be charged, put before courts, for the court or for the cases to travel to the end. And once those people are prosecuted, I heard somebody say during this whole disturbances and all that nobody should call me, because when you call me, I will not be there for you. This is not what we ask you to go and do. Go there, put up a good behavior, and that is all we want. Be vigilant doesn't mean go and destroy properties. The vigilance means that be as an eagle. You know how the eagle behaves. Very keen eye, try. You don't even blink. Make sure that everything that you have goes on the right way, rather than using force, rather than using unlawful means to achieve whatever you want. So it's a lesson there. It's one thing that I'm sure that the authorities or powers that be are looking at and are watching and are also listening. And they will take it up and make sure that anybody who is arrested and investigated, evidence shows that you have committed one offense or the other, the person should be arraigned and dealt with according to the law. That is the only way that it could serve as a deterrent for others who are watching, so that once somebody is punished...
Hold on for me, Captain, because speaking of some of these things, one of the things that we have also seen NDC supporters do in these times is to mass up at collation centers. And we have heard their General Secretary, Fifi Kwete, ask them to withdraw from the collation centers. One of the collation centers that they have massed up at this morning is Wejagbawi. And my colleague, Obed Kingaglo, in fact, our colleague, Obed Kingaglo, is currently there and joins us live with updates from there. Obed, good morning. Hello, Obed. Well, we understand that Obed is not on right now, but I don't know
Yes,
why.
I saw the videos and they were like, oh, are we still doing that to ourselves? Yes, whatever the outcome of the election will be, the EC will declare it, right? If you disagree with it, the best place to go is court. And once the declaration has been made.
Hold on, Obed is on now and joins us live from Wejak-Bawe. Obed, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. What's happening?
Right, so Sewa, right here at the Wejak-Bawe municipality, specifically the Coalition Center, tension is brewing as members of the National Democratic Congress are insisting that there has been some manipulation with regard to the parliamentary results that were declared on Sunday. Now, by way of update, Jerry Ahmed Shai, who is the parliamentary candidate for the MPP, was declared by the EC. But members of the National Democratic Congress says that that cannot be the case because the person who declared was not the returning officer. Today, they got an intel. Officials are coming around 11 p.m. up in their numbers, and lo and behold, when they showed up, they realized that the electoral officials and some members of the NDC itself are here at the Coalition Center trying to manipulate results to tally the declared results. And that has led to a lot of confusion here. And if you can see in the pictures or the videos, you see that members of the party are massing up. You can see that police trying to control the situation. They are trying to enter the Coalition Center. And you can see police personnel are trying to manage the situation. And so there's a lot of confusion as we speak here at the Wejak-Bawe municipality. The police is trying to manage the situation, but members of the party are still showing up in their numbers, insisting that the declaration that was made on Sunday be declared null and void for a new coalition to be done. You can see in short a member of parliament, Sophia Akwaku, who is part of the NDC monitoring team, showing up to control the agitated crowd. And so that's the situation currently here. Members of the National Democratic Congress are insisting that the Electoral Commission officer here declare the results on Sunday as null and void. So if you can still hear me, that's the situation here at the Coalition Center here at the Wejak-Bawe municipality, where members of the National Democratic Congress are massing up, trying to enter the station. Let me try and engage Sophia Akwaku, who is a member of parliament. Honorable, you are live on GHOne TV. What's happening?
We don't understand why they are saying. You know, our people say we come and collect the collection seat. When they got it, they realized that the EC people were filling another collection form. So when they were filling another collection form, they also told our people that they should go, that they are filling the form. When they are ready, they will call them to come and sign. And we are asking them, what were they feeling? What were they feeling? Because after the election, everybody has his form already. So what are you now doing? The policy form should have been signed long ago, or since Saturday or Sunday. They should have signed it. So which new one are you doing before you? That is where we don't understand. So we got to know that they were feeling something different.
At what time?
And now 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Later on, they are saying that about 365 people voted for presidential, but they didn't vote for parliamentary. That is what the conspiracy.
Right.
So that is what they are fighting for.
Right.
One, and then now saying that 350 people didn't vote for parliamentary, but they voted for presidential. Now, which form were you feeling? Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Which policy form were you feeling?
Right. But Honorable, they declared there is somebody
So
on
what
Sunday.
did they use to declare before they are filling policy form? Which one did they use to declare the one they declared? Before they are now filling another policy form, to call us to come and sign.
Right. Right. So, Esewa, that was Honorable Akwaku, who is a member of parliament and also part of the NDC monetary team in the Greater Accra region. So, you can see in the shots, members are massing up, trying to enter the coalition center. But the police are trying their best to control the situation. They are here in their numbers, trying to control the situation. So, sir, that's the situation here currently at the Wejagbawe municipality.
Right, thank you very much, Obed King-Gaglo. And I really don't understand why supporters are massing up at coalition centers, both NDC and NPP. And especially for the NDC, the General Secretary has stated emphatically that withdraw from the coalition centers. Coalition centers do not need party supporters there.
Not.
They just need two agents of the parties.
Which I know that they do have there.
They do have there. So what exactly are you doing there? These are the things that cause problems. And in any case, if someone has been declared winner, which has happened in this case on Sunday, the NPP's candidate, Jerry, has been declared winner. If you contest or if you believe that something untoward or fraudulent happened,
it's only one place
go to court.
Simple.
The High Court has exclusive and original jurisdiction to hear cases regarding parliamentary election disputes.
Yes.
Go there and go and make your case. I don't know
have
why
evidence,
you need to fight.
Yes.
And you will be arrested or some will get hurt because somebody wants to be member of parliament, of which money you will not even be enjoying with them. The cars and the, you know, the luxuries that comes with the seat, you won't be enjoying with them. It is not right.
It's very sad when you are seeing things like that. Like you mentioned, we have agents, official agents of the political party in there. You are in there taking note of whatever is happening. And you are outside massing up, creating all sort of confusion of this nature. It doesn't help. We like people to pile pressure, to put pressure on authorities to act right. But it is not this way when it has to turn violent. And you can see that as a day goes by, if the situation is still the same thing, we're going to deploy. You see the police deploy a lot of personnel to the ground. Is that what we want? Which could have easily been channeled into another areas to do some work and all that. So I think that they should hit to the core of the president. The president-elect, they should hit to the core of the party executive who have mentioned time without number that this is not what they want. What they want is peace. They should allow the EC and then the party agent, the official, to deal with the situation. Like you mentioned, if you disagree with the declared result, the proper place to go is the High Court. When you go to the High Court and you are not satisfied, you have another opportunity to go to the Court of Appeal and the matters will be resolved. If you win, you win. If you lose, then better luck next time. But as you mentioned, you heard Obed speak from that particular place, and the tension that is brewing there is not something that is good for our democracy.
Captain, is that all you have for court?
So today, the Salifu Amoako's son's case is back in court. A 16-year-old boy is back at the juvenile court.
And all this while, he's being at a juvenile detention center?
No, now he's in the custody of a family member.
Okay.
And the law allows that because of the age. So that is
there's
where,
a probation officer who's checking on him
absolutely,
all the time.
exactly.
Okay.
So that is what is happening. So even though he's on remand, that is how the situation has been with him. So he's expected in court today. And of course, remember the farmer who sued the Speaker of Parliament and Attorney General about how the anti-gay processes went and all of that. That case is at the High Court. It is also one of the cases that will come out today, and we'll know what will happen in relation to that particular case. So these are some of the cases that we expect happening at the court today.
Thank you very much. Murtala Inusah is our court correspondent. Stay with us because on Newsroom at 11:30, we will go to him and get you updates on what happened in court today. Murtala, thank you. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.
Great.